The year is 1944, and the Allies have conquered France, retaking it from National Socialist control. The summer is warm and dry, allowing their armies to push forth into the German frontier. The first city they come across is the city of Aachen, a beautiful and prestigious city in the west of Germany. They completely destroy it, razing it to the ground with indiscriminate bombings and ruthless artillery fire. The soldiers meet fierce German resistance, not only from the Wehrmacht, but also from civilians determined to defend their fatherland. After only a few months of fighting, the mayor of Aachen, Franz Oppenhoff, who never much sympathized with the National Socialist regime in Berlin anyway, surrenders the city to the Allied forces. In Berlin, the German high command is furious. They see the mayor of Aachen as a traitor, a coward, and a sympathizer of the Allied cause. They decide to make an example of him. Heinrich Himmler has a plan. Within only a few days, a group of German troops parachute behind enemy lines and find the house of the mayor in the middle of the night. They knock on the door and a maid opens. They claim to be crashed pilots and ask for food. Then they storm into the mayor's house and assassinate him, disappearing again into the night without a trace to track them down. The mayor of Penzberg, a small Bavarian town that never fell under the spell of Hitler's ideology, had also surrendered to the Allies with little to no fight towards the end of the war. There, like in Aachen, assassins carried out an act of vengeance. These men are werewolves, a special German military unit made specifically to sneak behind enemy lines and wreak havoc on the Allied soldiers. Created by Heinrich Himmler towards the end of the war, when all hope seemed lost for the Third Reich, the werewolves were made up almost entirely of members of the Hitler Youth. They were masters of disguise and espionage. They became one with the shadows and disappeared into the nightly winds. Strangely enough for the time, up to 15% of them were actually female, and the female troops were just as brave and just as fierce as their male counterparts, if not more so. Trained at a mysterious German castle, the force numbered around 5,000 men and women and used a Nordic rune as their symbol. After Hitler's suicide and the elevation of Admiral Donitz as Reichsführer, the werewolves are ordered, along with the rest of the German military forces, to disband and give up their arms. Some did so. Others, however, refused. Over the next few months, bombs went off all over Allied-occupied Germany. Telecommunication lines were cut, mines were laid, Allied occupiers were sniped, graffiti was put up, supply chains were sabotaged. The Allies tried their best to stop these acts of vigilante violence, but to no avail. To many Germans, the end was not yet the end. The legacy of National Socialism would live on. The memory of the Führer would not be tarnished by Allied propaganda. Some of these vigilante soldiers, fighting for a hopeless and romanticized cause, were independent actors, but others were members of the werewolves. Of these werewolves, the majority were teenagers, used as child soldiers by adult SS officers disillusioned by the surrender of Germany and the defeat of their fatherland in yet another world conflict.
General Eisenhower informs me that the forces of Germany have surrendered to the United Nations. The flags of freedom fly all over Europe.
These teenage boys, if caught, were rounded up and put in concentration camps. If they were caught by Americans, they were lucky, for they'd only be shot. If they were caught by the British occupiers, however, they would be beheaded, sometimes by guillotine. It is said that hundreds of young Germans fighting with the Hitler Youth were killed in cold blood by Allied occupiers. One time, a Hitler Youth sniped an American occupier. The Americans retaliated by shooting 13 German prisoners without trial. In another town where the Americans had moved into, a US soldier was shot. This caused the Americans to move out, mercilessly bomb the town, and then move back in again. Another town, Demmin, was completely burned down, resulting in thousands of deaths and hundreds of subsequent suicides. The French dealt with werewolf youth and saboteurs even more harshly. In response to one shooter, they took the entire male population of a town and kept them prisoner for almost a week without food or water. These were the same tactics used by German occupiers in much of Europe, killing innocent people as reprisals against killings of their own. All of the Allied reprisals to werewolf vigilantism killed, in total, at least 5,000 people, far more than the werewolves themselves ever killed. The Soviet communists, however, were even worse, implementing a systemic structure of the rape of millions of mostly innocent German women. All of this led to the colonized German population to resent their Allied occupiers. In retaliation against this growing resentment of their imperial conquest of German lands, the Allies implemented the process of denazification, a neo-colonial psychological operation intent on brainwashing the German nation to counteract the brainwashing they endured under National Socialism, the effect of which lingers on to this day. During this time, most of the werewolf violence stopped, either due to ineffectiveness or due to fear of the brutal and inhumane Allied reprisals. But could it be that, to this day, there are werewolf neo-Nazi soldiers lurking in the shadows, ready to kill all who oppose them? If you like this video, like, comment, and subscribe. If you want to support the channel, our PayPal link is in the description box below. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.